Good morning, son. How are you? Good. Did you have a good night? Watch your fingers. You want to come join me? I'm about to start my video. No? Can you come say hi? Okay. Good morning, everybody. We are live on Facebook. We are live on LinkedIn. In a moment, we'll be live on LinkedIn. All right. We are live on LinkedIn. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Rumble, YouTube, and X. We are live on Instagram, and we are live over on TikTok. Good morning, everybody. This is going to be a busy morning. We got a lot going on here today, a lot to get to. Tay Diggs over on YouTube. Good morning. Good morning, everybody over on TikTok. Jumping in early. Willie Woodward. Where are you checking in from? Can everybody tell me your location? Give me a city where you're checking in from right now. I just want to know where we are. Willie Woodward, good morning. I just want to know locations. I ain't even had my protein shake yet. I usually have this before I start my live, but I'm having it right now. You know, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Hold on. Let me make sure my audio is good. Is my audio good on Instagram? Can y'all hear me? On Instagram, is the audio good? I just touched the mic by accident. Want to make sure we got the mics back right. YouTube, can y'all hear me? YouTube, Rumble X, can you hear me? I just hit the mic by accident and disturbed my audio. Can you hear me on Instagram? And I want to tell y'all something about me as we get into this topic here today. Grenada is in the house. Shout out to Grenada, Chicago, MI. I don't know what MI is. I'm assuming Michigan, Bristol, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee. So Tennessee is in the house. Allentown. Shout out to Allentown. My hometown is Philadelphia. A lot of y'all don't know that. New York is in the house. Is that New York State or New York City? Detroit. What's going on? And telling y'all something about me. Can y'all hear me on Instagram? Can somebody on Instagram comment that you can hear me? Somebody on YouTube comment that you can hear me? I like to do things early. And I wake up early, 3:45 a.m., get a workout in. And this morning I already started doing things early. I already pissed off a bunch of people on X because I was defending RFK Jr. He was giving a speech the other day, I guess yesterday, talking about autism. Or he mentioned autism during his speech. Let's just put it that way. And some people were attacking him for that, for some out of context clip. All right, y'all can hear me on Instagram. Great. Thank you. And I defended something that he had said there. I do this in the replies, usually not in my regular posts. And then someone was saying something about Trump. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the gift that keeps on giving, which is Donald Trump, whether you're talking about him positively or negatively. We're going to talk about this Maryland man, quote unquote, the Maryland dad who got deported to El Salvador. We're going to talk about that here today and the legalities of it and what exactly this means for the United States of America. That's going to be the topic here today. As usual, we're going to get into the details on a certain level of it. And we're going to get into how this could be looked at from one side or another side. And then we're going to get to a bottom line. I am going to get to a bottom line on this one. Someone said, okay, so I think everybody gave me their locations here. And I will get to all questions and comments at the end. Butterfly Howard, good morning. So let's get to it. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day, former 9-year pro athlete, author of 41 books, done 4 TEDx talks, create this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. So anybody asking what exactly does this guy do for a living? What is my job? No, I'm not a lawyer. No, I'm not a financial advisor. What I am is a business coach and business consultant. And what we do is we help people take the tools to help athletes get to the top of the sports world. We translate those over to the business and professional world. We do that through helping people in the sales world, the consulting world, any type of professional service business. So these are financial advisors. We work with lawyers, we work with accountants, and we help them systematize and scale their businesses up, starting on the mindset side, getting all the way to the strategy and the systems side. So anybody asking in the comments, who is this guy? What does he do for a living? I just told you. Now, what's going on, son? You want to come join me? You're just what?
Well, I was just the empty box and then fold away the other ones and here's the new ones.
Oh, you got a new slime? Yeah. Okay, can you say hi to my audience? Sure. Can you say good morning, audience?
Good morning, audience.
Okay, they can't quite see you yet. But I'm gonna.
Yes, what are they doing?
They're listening to me, but I'm talking to you right now, so I got to get back to my material. Do you want to sit here with me, or are you gonna go out there?
I'm sitting here.
You gonna sit here with me? Okay. Now you can't get that slime on my clothes. Okay. The slime does not go well with suits. Okay, so make sure you hold that in your hand. So let's get right into what we need to get into here when it comes to the topic. Good morning, all of you out there. Y'all were saying good morning to him. So this man's name is Abrego Garcia. For those of you who haven't heard this story, maybe you've heard about it in passing. His name is Abrego Garcia, and he is not a U.S. citizen. So let's establish some baseline understandings. All right, this guy who's been deported, for those of you who heard the story a little bit, the United States government, the Trump administration, has deported this guy to El Salvador, not just to El Salvador, but to an El Salvadorian jail, this gentleman, or prison. His name's Abrego Garcia. He is not a United States citizen. Okay, so let's establish baseline. He is not a citizen. He was brought here from El Salvador at age 16 by his parents, and he was in the country illegally. He was in the United States illegally. He does not have citizenship. He did not have proper documentation to be here in the United States. He was brought here illegally at age 16. In 2019, and he was in the state of Maryland. 2019, this gentleman, Mr. Garcia, was arrested on suspicion of being a member of a gang. And I guess there are laws in the state of Maryland where if you think someone's a member of a gang, you can arrest them. So he was arrested on suspicion. Where are you going? You need potty? Hope not. Anyway, he was arrested on suspicion of being a member of a gang, and he was handed over to ICE. All right, and those are the people who handle the people who come in, immigration, customs enforcement, etc. So he handed over to ICE, and what ICE decided is that we're going to remove this guy. Now, he does receive due process. There's a certain amount of due process you get regardless of what level of person, citizen, human you are. There's a certain level of due process that comes with that. So ICE began removal proceedings. Once they did the paperwork and the process that they needed to do, they began the process that is required in order to remove a person from America. And the reason why they were removing him on basis alone was that he was here without proper documentation. That's it. If you don't have proper documentation and they find you, ICE finds you, they're going to kick you out. That's the way it works. That's the way it works in any country in the world. We're going to come back to that in a minute. So just on the fact that he was here illegally, he was getting removed, doesn't even have anything to do necessarily with the gang situation. That's enough that you're here without proper documentation. It's a wrap. It's over. That's when they begin the process to get him out. Now, the evidence against him became that this guy is not only here illegally, but he's possibly a member of this gang called the MS-13, which is this gang that Trump has been talking about for a while. These are violent criminal people, and they come here to America and they start committing crimes. And I'm going to answer questions and comments at the end, by the way. They come in here and they start committing crimes and they're doing the wrong thing. We don't want these people in our country. These are the people that Trump has been talking about in a more general sense since 2015, 2016, when he first ran for president, saying that we want to they say that immigrants are coming from other countries like Mexico to the south of us, but they're not sending their best. Remember, Trump said that they're not sending their best. And this is when the whole xenophobic label got put on Trump. And anyone who is any form of immigrant who happens to lean to the left politically, they started not liking Trump just on the basis of him saying that alone. And again, he was speaking in general terms. I understand why some people may be not liking the fact that he was generalizing in that way. But at the same time, you understand if he's not talking about you, then you can't take offense. It's like some white person says, hey, a lot of black men are violent and they commit crimes against not only black people, but also white people. I understand the direction of what this person is saying, but I'm not taking it personally because I know he's not talking about me. But again, I happen to be a person who tries to look at things as logically and as objectively as possible. Most human beings are not wired the way that I'm wired. So I understand why a lot of people got mad about him saying what he said, that they're not sending their best. And I see over on YouTube, there's a comment, someone said he's not a member of MS-13. Well, how do we actually know? Do we actually know? And let's get to that right here, because I'm sure you're not the only person with that comment. You're just the one that I can see. How do we actually know if this person's a member of a gang or they're not a member of a gang? Do you actually know? There's no way to seriously, without a doubt, know, unless this person says, hey, I'm a member of a gang. Or they could also say, no, I'm not a member of a gang. But how do you actually know? And that's where the reason why it goes to the courts. Because what the courts deemed when he went through his process in the the court that was going to get him out of the country, get him deported out of the country, they deemed that there is enough evidence to say this guy is a member of a gang. Now, if he comes out and says, well, I'm not a member of a gang, okay, well, is your word against what the court decided? And the court decided you are a member of a gang. That's another thing they put on his record. This guy's a member of a gang. That's what happened. Okay, so they said that he's a member of a gang. The evidence was he's a member. He said he's not. All right, so he had I guess a court-appointed attorney. I don't know who his attorney was. They tried to argue that he's not a member of a gang. And when they went to court, this is the way it works in the United States of America. When you go to court, you have to prove to either the judge or the jury, one side or the other side, he lost. All right, that's what happened. He lost. The evidence that he presented that says I'm not a member of a gang was not sufficient to convince the court that he was not a member of a gang. So they said on his record, finally it says not a member of a gang. Same way that many of you may think OJ did it back in 1994, whatever year that was that happened. You think OJ did it. According to the court, he did not do it. He was found not guilty. What you personally think is irrelevant to what the court decided. The court decided he's a member of a gang. Everybody got that? And we got that all on page. Okay. The Board of Immigration Appeals. He went to the Board of Immigration Appeals. He appealed the outcome, which anybody can do in court. Generally, you can appeal the result. You know what happened when he appealed the result? He lost. That's what happened. Again, this is not my personal opinion. He appealed the result that said you're a member of a gang, you're getting kicked out, on top of the fact that you're here illegally in the first place. He lost his appeal. So he's out of bullets here. He has nothing else in his chamber. Then, he actually did have another one. Excuse me. He applied for asylum. He's applying for asylum, and he asked also, in addition to applying for asylum, he asked not to be deported to El Salvador. And his claim was that if I get sent back there, then there are some violent gangs there that are going to do some bad things to me, or the gang that I'm a part of might do something bad to me. The whole argument is there's some violent people in the country that I come from that you're about to deport me to, United States of America. Please don't send me back there because the violent gang or gangs over there are going to do bad things to me if I get sent back there. Please have some humanity and don't send me back there. If you're going to send me somewhere, just don't send me there. So the way that the laws work is that you can be sent somewhere, but it doesn't have to be that country. So that we could have sent him to Mexico, could have sent him to Canada, could have sent him to Brazil, could have sent him to Argentina, could send him many other places in the world. You don't have to send him back to that country. So this is the claim that he made. Please don't send me back to El Salvador, which is where he's actually from. He asked to not be sent there. And because of the gang violence danger, the judge agreed and said, okay, we're going to kick you out, but we're not going to send you there because you said there's violence possibly. We're not going to send you back to the place that you don't want to be. And again, questions and comments I'm going to answer at the end. So those of you who have something, please hold until I get around to the comments. So he said, all right, we're going to do that. We're not going to send you to your country. Now, he was given the he was given the withholding for removal to El Salvador. The withholding was, we're not going to move you there, but then he was released. Now, why he got released is one of the things I've been talking about. The United States government is just inefficient for the most part in all the things they do. So even though it was said he's going to get kicked out, they didn't kick him out immediately. It's not like that day they put him on a plane and kicked him out. He was released. So he was able to just move about until the time that it comes that we're going to kick you out and actually throw you out. Now, that was it. All this happened in 2019. Okay, so all of that was 2019 when that first thing first started. And again, this was during Trump's first administration. Now, in the March of 2025, this year, he got arrested again. Now, why did he get arrested? This time he got arrested for the same reason, suspicion of being a member of a gang. And you know that Tom Homan, that's the quote unquote border czar. He's a guy running things when it comes to enforcement of the border right now. He and his team are not playing around when they're catching these folks, or at least trying to catch them. So he gets arrested again in 2025 on suspicion of being a member of a gang. Now, this time, now that we know Tom Homan is there and Trump has his team in now, and they're actually getting the things done that he wanted to get done the first time around, but he wasn't successful with a lot of them. This time he got an order of removal anywhere but to El Salvador. Again, because he has this claim, the gangs are going to do something violent to me, so don't send me to El Salvador. Send me somewhere, but don't send me to El Salvador. So this is what is supposed to happen now, this order of removal. But here's the issue. Because what ended up happening, long story short, is he did actually get sent to El Salvador. He got sent to an El Salvadorian prison. That's where he is as of right now. The last that I heard, he's still there in the El Salvadorian prison right now. So what a lot of people are arguing, the crux of the argument against the Trump administration and what they think Trump is doing wrong and how SCOTUS got involved in all this, is that this guy said, okay, if you're going to kick me out, just don't send me to El Salvador. And then he got sent to El Salvador anyway. So people are mad about that. Then it goes through the courts, and you have all these different levels of court. And finally, the Supreme Court says, hey, Donald Trump, you're doing the wrong thing. You sent this guy to El Salvador when you're not supposed to. Y'all need to bring him back. That's where we are right now. And there's a whole argument about that. I'll get into that in a moment. So here's a couple of issues about this, because what's happened is Donald Trump is not following the order of the court, allegedly. Right now, this court said you got to bring him back, and Donald Trump's not bringing him back. So what a lot of people who are up in arms about this are saying is Donald Trump is simply defying the law. The highest court in the country said you had to do this. He's not doing it. So he is basically putting himself above the law. He's a fascist. He's a dictator. All the terrible things we told you he was going to do. Here he is actively doing it. He already did it to the economy. Now he's doing it to the legal system. Oh, my God, Trump is going to destroy everything. This is what people are saying right now around Donald Trump and around this situation. But there are a couple mitigating factors that we have to bring in. Actually, there's several mitigating factors on both sides of this conversation. One is that, first of all, Donald Trump deemed this gang that this guy is allegedly a member of, and again, court adjudicated, he has been found that he is a member of this gang. Whether you personally believe it or not is irrelevant. That's what the court said. They say he's a member of this MS-13 gang. Donald Trump has deemed this gang a terrorist organization. And when that happens, then a person who is going to get deported to whatever jail or whatever thing based on them being a terrorist organization, the removal, the withholding for removal, the things that would stop you from going here, or here when you're getting removed, those things go away if you're a member of a terrorist organization. So it's one thing if they say you're just a bad person, we're deporting you because you shouldn't be here, we're going to send you to this place or this place. But if they say you're a member of a gang that's a terrorist organization and we're going to deport you, those same things that you can say, please don't send me here or here. Send me anywhere, but don't send me there. Don't send me there. Those go away when you have that distinction on you that you're a member of this group that's called a terrorist organization. So when Trump labeled that gang a terrorist organization, now some of the protections, so to speak, that this Maryland dad had go away just based on that alone, because he's already been deemed a member of this gang. Again, whether you agree with that or not is, again, irrelevant. Is it relevant whether I agree with it or not? This is just what happened. So those removals are of a different character once you get to that position. So the media, let's talk about the media first. Media is, let's just say the left media, because there's right media as well. The left media keeps framing this whole situation as a Maryland dad or a Maryland man has been sent to this place and Trump's defying SCOTUS, et cetera, et cetera. That's what they're saying. Maryland man, Maryland man, Maryland man, or Maryland dad. That's all they're saying. Nobody's mentioning that he was here illegally. Nobody's mentioning that the court deemed him a member of a gang. Nobody's mentioning either one of these things. Nobody's mentioning that Trump has deemed this gang a terrorist organization. Can anyone explain to me, and this is a rhetorical question for now, why is the media not mentioning these three things? Number one, this guy was here without proper documentation, illegally. Number two, the court said he's a member of a gang. Why is nobody mentioning these things? Why are these not being brought up? Why is he just being deemed a Maryland man or a Maryland dad, but nobody's bringing up the rest of the story? And this is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, you got to be very careful when people throw around quote unquote facts. All right, including myself, including anybody else. You got to be very careful when people throw around facts. You notice I'm not even using that word in what I'm talking about here. I'm just using it to describe, because the media can give you a whole bunch of facts that sound very convincing. The problem is they're leaving out the facts that are not convincing. They're leaving out the facts that would force them to, as I like to say, disprove your argument. And if you're going to throw out facts on one side of a conversation, you got to throw out the facts on the other side of the conversation. You put all the facts together in full context, then you have what we call the truth. The problem is all of you, I'm talking about all you and us these days, because we've been so programmed by social media to get the quick thing, the short version, the clip, the out of context information that emotionalizes us. We no longer have, or we don't have the discipline to have the attention span to get the truth, because getting the truth requires consuming everything that tells us the whole story, not just the short part that makes us feel good. Again, whether you're on one side or another side of a conversation. As you know, they say there are three sides to every story. There's one side, there's the other side, and then there's what actually happened. All right, the truth, not the facts, but the truth, because both sides have facts. It's what is the ultimate truth of the situation. So the mainstream media, which is mostly leftist, they are pushing this as, oh, Trump has deported a Maryland dad. And that sounds terrible. That's all you hear. You just see the headline and you see a 2-minute clip on social media by MSNBC. They're like, wait a minute, Trump deported a Maryland dad. They just picked up a dad in Maryland who was just living his life and doing his thing. And they deported him to not only out of the country, but to a prison in another country, a really rough prison. And this guy wasn't supposed to be deported. And that's all you know. And then you see people posting on social media in 280 characters or less what they think about the situation, or longer, and everything is angling one way or another. And Trump's this terrible person, and he's going against the government, not the government, but he's going against the Supreme Court. He's just doing whatever he wants to do. This is crazy. Then, of course, the situation sounds one way. That's all you hear. What are you going to think? I know what I would think if that's all I heard. But there's more to the story, as I've explained to you many other pieces of this story. So people say, well, this guy didn't get due process. Yes, he did. He did get due process. Question is, what do you consider to be due process? The question is not, did he get due process? The question is, what's your version of due process and what is the court's version of due process? They might not be the same thing. The issue is not whether or not he got the process. The issue is, what kind of process are you talking about versus what process did he actually get? And some people say he didn't get due process. I say he did. He went to court. He just didn't win. Right? He got due process. When you go to court and lose, you can't say you didn't get due process. You just didn't win. You just didn't get the outcome that you wanted. But we can't say that he didn't get due process. But there's a much bigger point to be made here. Talking about the courts. So as y'all can see, since Trump came into office, what's today? Today's the 17th. So it's been about 90 days, almost 90 days since Trump has been in office. You feel like it's been I feel like it's been like years since Trump came back into office. These 3 months have gone by. They've gone by quick, but it seems like it's been a long time at the same time. So as you can see, every time that Trump tries to do something, or his administration, everybody within it. So let's say Elon, mostly it's been Elon and Trump so far, but it's about to get crazier as soon as RFKJ starts to get cooking. And we'll get to that. We'll talk about that probably tomorrow. I might have to talk about RFKJ tomorrow. Y'all want to hear me talk about RFKJ? Just put RFKJ if I should talk about him. And that one might get me banned off TikTok. So I got to be careful. But I'll probably will talk about him. But anyway, anything the Trump administration tries to do, they're using the courts to try to basically push him back and stop him from doing it. All right, so I see y'all on RFKJ is coming. We will talk about that. And they're trying to use the courts to go against him because they can't really do anything else because he's at the executive branch. So now they got it to the court. They got it to the Supreme Court. And allegedly the Supreme Court, not allegedly, but they're ruling 9-0. You got to bring this guy back to the USA. Now, here's what happened. The president in El Salvador, he said, we are not sending this guy back. That's what he said. The president of El Salvador said, we're not sending this guy back. And yesterday or the day before, Trump had a lot of his cabinet with him while he's talking to the media. And by the way, Trump has talked to the media more times in 90 days than Joe Biden did in 4 years. I just want to make sure that's on the record. Any of you didn't notice that. And again, this is not a partisan point. It's just that's a fact. You want to talk about a fact? There's a fact for you right there. He's talked to the media more in 90 days than Joe Biden did in 4 years. And he sits down and lets the media just give him as many questions as they want. He just answers all the questions. So the question was asked about that. And Trump, instead of answering himself, he deferred to Pam Bondi. And Pam Bondi she's the attorney general. I got that right? So he refers to Pam Bondi. And Pam Bondi lost a lot of weight. I was looking at I remember when she did her confirmation, I was looking her up because I didn't really know much about her, even though she came from the state of Florida. But a few years ago, she was like way heavier. So Pam Bondi lost like a good 40, 50 pounds. Any of y'all notice that? Did Pam Bondi lose weight? Anybody know anything about that? Was she on the Atkins diet? What was that? But anyway, Pam Bondi says that all the United States will be required to do is to facilitate the movement. In other words, that the country decides that's what they're going to do. Their job is just to facilitate. But if the country is not going to do it, then the United States can't really do anything. I was kind of joking about the Atkins diet. I don't know what she did, but I saw pictures of her from several years ago, and she was way bigger than she is now. Now she's like thin. But several years ago, she was a lot bigger. She had to have lost like 40, 50 pounds. So anybody have any insight on that, let me know. Anyway, that was a side note. So the guy in El Salvador says, we're not sending this guy back. And now there's this whole cluster F about this whole situation because people are saying that Trump is going against the court and Trump is going against the grain. And here's Trump being a fascist. And here's Trump doing all the terrible things that we, the people who don't like Trump, said he was going to do. And the argument here is, again, can he do this? Can he just not listen to the Supreme Court if he doesn't want to? And it's kind of like, it's almost here's the thing. It's not that he's not following what the Supreme Court says, because as Pam Bondi said, she's the top lawyer in the country. She said, our job is only to facilitate what the other country is going to do. But if the other country says we're not doing it, what are we supposed to do? She didn't say all that part, but that's what I'm asking. What is the United States supposed to do? Go strong on them? Is Trump supposed to make a speech? And all of this, let's be clear, to bring back a guy who was already here without proper paperwork and has been deemed by the courts as a member of a gang. We're supposed to do, the government is supposed to do all of this. The Trump administration is supposed to do all of this to bring this guy back. And the question is why? That's the thing that we really need to talk about here today. America, according to people on the political left, especially people who are not fans of Trump, y'all tell me if y'all have heard this anytime over the last 10 years, 20 years. America is a racist nation. America does not appreciate black and brown people. America stole its land. The white settlers stole the land from the brown Native Americans who were already here. America just trashes and attacks anything that black and brown people do. Black and brown people have tried to build successful things in America, such as Black Wall Street, and you had the massacre that happened in Oklahoma years ago. All these terrible things that America does to black and brown people, right? Y'all have heard this many times over the years. As a black and brown person myself, I've heard these things many times, and I'm allegedly supposed to believe. Here's my question. If America is so terrible to black and brown people, and America is so racist to minorities in the United States of America, when you're here in America, America is terrible to you as a minority. Here's my question. Why is the political left so adamant about bringing a black and brown person back to America because it's so terrible to black people? If America is so terrible to minorities, why is the political left demanding that a minority get brought back to America after they got out? I mean, they escaped. They escaped the terror. They escaped the terror of America for black and brown people by getting deported. But now we're supposed to fight to bring the guy back. I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense. Somebody explain that to me. If America's so terrible to black and brown people, they should be happy that he got deported. So now he don't have to have the terror of being a black and brown person in America hanging over his head like the rest of us do. I got to deal with this terror because I'm a black person and I live in America, and America's racist and it's terrible to me. And anything I build, the white people are going to burn it down. And if I build a snowman, they're going to knock it down. Anything I do as a black and brown person, America's going to destroy it because America is racist. But as soon as a black and brown person gets deported, now we got to go to the Supreme Court to bring him back. Somebody make that make sense to me. Somebody make that make sense to me. I'll wait. Let me finish my protein shake while I wait on the answer to that question. Because as a black person, I want to know. I need this explained to me. Explain this to me really simple. Explain it to me like I'm a fifth grader. Remember that show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Explain it to me like I'm a fifth grader. Why is a black and brown person, I should be excited and go all the way to the Supreme Court, or a person who supports black and brown people, the allies, the white liberals? Why would I want a minority brought back here for any other reason? Let's forget the legalities for a second. Let's just forget that for a second. Forget Supreme Court and Trump, and let's take all the names out of it. If you believe America is a racist country and it's terrible to black and brown people, why would you be so excited to bring a minority back here after they got kicked out? I thought America was terrible for everybody except people who look like Donald Trump. I need an explanation. Someone said the place they're going back to is far worse. That's not I need a better explanation than that. I need a better explanation than that. But since America is so terrible to minorities, and we've been hearing this for the last 20 years, why is it that people on the political left, whether you're political or not, or you just happen to lean left in your views, doesn't make you a bad person. But if you lean left in your views, why is it such a big deal that more black and brown people get bought here, being that it's such a terrible place for black and brown people? I mean, this is a question that should have been asked during the Biden administration, when the borders were allowing a lot of people to come in here, and most of them are black and brown. It wasn't a whole bunch of white people coming into America. It was a bunch of black and brown people, right? So since America's so terrible, why do we keep bringing more people into a place that's terrible for them? Can someone who has some left leanings explain this to me? I need a simple fifth grade level explanation of why this continues to happen. It's terrible for black and brown people, but we're just going to keep bringing them in. And if Trump kicks one out, that's a terrible thing. And if Tom Homan becomes the border czar and he starts finding black and brown people who should not be here based on documentation and kicks them out, this is somehow some type of terrible thing that Donald Trump and Tom Homan and the Trump administration are doing, but this doesn't seem to add up to me logically. Now, again, maybe I'm being, too logical on this point. Can someone help me understand? Someone said, somebody left the question. Black Dynamite said, that's the dumbest question I've ever heard and has nothing to do with the situation. I just said, let's put the situation aside. Just answer the question in general. Let's put the situation aside. This one that we're talking about, we're going to get back to that. But why do we need to keep bringing black and brown people back? I thought America was racist. Bridget Doe Fuller, you said you're not even logical and you think you're making a point. I think I am making a very good point. Anybody here think I'm making a point? Put yes in the comments. So Bridget, let's see if I'm making a point or not. Put yes in the comments if you think I'm making a point. Put no in the comments if you think I'm not making a point. Let's see what the survey says. All right, the survey says yes, Bridget. What do you think? There's a few people saying no, but the survey says yes. So Bridget, nice try, but you're going to have to try with something better. All right, the survey says yes, I'm making a point, and I see some of you putting the word no more than once. All right, we see you. All right, I see you. I see you trying to game the system. I am making a point. So if America makes an error when it comes to immigrants, again, based on this framing that America is racist and terrible to black and brown people, then isn't it better to make the error of kicking them out than leaving them in? Isn't that better to make that error of kicking black and brown people out than leaving them in? And there are several other pieces we got to get to here. I want to make sure we stay tight on time because I got to make sure we get done by 10 o'clock today. So first of all, a couple of things. If you go to another country and that country deems you through their system, whatever system they have, you as an American, you American citizens listen to me right now. You go to another country and the courts or the system in that country deems you as somehow a threat or improperly documented or whatever, for whatever way, shape, or form, you are not serving that country the way that you're supposed to serve them, whether you got due process or not. What do? You go to another country as an American citizen, you're not a citizen of that country, and they deem you to somehow not be an improvement to the quality of life in that country. What do? What happens? All of you know the answer to the question, even if you've never been anywhere. Any of you who have been somewhere, you definitely know the answer. And if you are from somewhere else other than America, but you live here now, you know the answer. They get you out of there immediately. And forget due process. Your due process is that we're going to put you in cuffs, we're going to put you on a plane and don't come back. They're going to literally tell you, do not come back here. And if you come back here or try to come back here, we're going to let the airline know you can't come back. So as soon as you try to check in for your flight, they ain't even let you get on the plane. In other countries, this is exactly what they do. Now, I'm not saying that we need to have the same laws of other countries. What I'm saying is that in the United States of America, we have opened our borders to allow other people in, and a lot of people have come in and contributed. But if people are coming in and they're not contributing, then we need to get them out and kick them out. And hopefully, if we enforce our laws properly, keep them from coming in the first place so that we don't have to use resources to go find them and get rid of them. The reason that we have Tom Homan doing what he's doing right now is because somehow, some way, all these people got in the first place. The best cure is the best prevention. As they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Had we never allowed them in the first place, then we wouldn't even need Tom Homan to do what he's doing. Now they got to go find people who should never got in here in the first place. And why nobody ever tells the stories of these people who commit crimes and do things. There was one that I just heard Megyn Kelly talking about this the other day. I can't remember the woman's name, but she was running on a trail and she got accosted by an illegal who was in the country. He basically smothered her, SA'd her, and stuffed her body into a drainage ditch. And he was an illegal. And she was running on the trail that she runs on all the time. Her family walks on all the time. Nobody tells that story. I can't even remember the woman's name. But everybody knows this guy's name, Abrego Garcia, or Lincoln Riley. All of you know her name. Many of you know her name. How'd that happen? At the hands of someone who was here illegally. Now, that does not mean that every person who comes here as an immigrant is a bad person. Of course, that's not what it means. All right, get the direction of the point. Is that in other countries, if this was happening multiple times with Americans coming into their country and Americans did this and American did that and American did that, you know what the citizens of that country would say? Hey, government, stop letting Americans come in here. Just block all Americans. Because, we know it was only 2% of the Americans who came in here. But if we got to block all of them from coming in to stop the 2% from doing the wrong thing, we're okay with that. Why? Because they don't live here anyway. They ain't from here anyway. They're not citizens. We don't need to afford them anything. We don't need to treat them as a case-by-case basis. No. A few of you did the wrong thing. So now none of you can come in. That's the way it works. I play sports. Any of you play a sport? When you play sports and you're in, let's say, college or high school, and I remember we would do like free throw drills in basketball practice, and the coach would say something like, it'd be 12, 15 guys on the baseline. He'd call out one player. He'd say, you go to the line, you shoot 2 free throws. If you don't make both free throws, you miss either one, the whole team has to run 10 sprints up and down the court. So if one of you messes up, everybody gets penalized. And sometimes one person gets penalized for the one thing that they did, but often the whole team got to deal with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. In other countries, this is what they do. In other countries, this is what they do. I guarantee you there are countries where once they get word of this whole thing, El Salvador has this gang and these terrible people are coming into America, and a few of them have done bad things, people coming from El Salvador, whether they are gang members or not. But they heard that a few people coming from El Salvador are doing this bad thing. That country, that's not the United States, will say, you know what? Okay, nobody from El Salvador can come in. Yeah, I know you're a good person. Yeah, I know you're a lawyer. You're a doctor. You got a degree. You never committed a crime in your life. But you know what? You're from El Salvador, and we heard bad things about El Salvador, so no, you can't come in. And that's it. Case closed. There's no news. There's no news story about it. There's no outrage. This is our country, and if you ain't a member, you ain't coming in. Now, some people say, well, America is a country of immigrants. That's wrong. America is not a country of immigrants. You know what America is a country of? Citizens. America is a country of citizens, not immigrants. Immigrants come here. The people who come here with positive intentions. I'm sure there are some people who have come here as immigrants listening to me right now. And some of you are married to some of you do business with some of you are a generation or two removed from people who fit that description. Immigrants who come here with positive intentions, their intention is to become a citizen, not just to remain an immigrant. Yes, you were an immigrant when you came in, but your goal is to become a citizen. We are a country of citizens. The people with full due process and full rights and all of that are citizens, not immigrants. And yes, this is what's the word? The word is escaping me right now. I just forgot it. I'll get to it in a second. We're a country of citizens, and the citizens have all the rights, and the citizens are the ones we have to defend, and the citizens are the ones that we need to watch out for. All right, that's who we need to be paying attention to, is what do the citizens want? And the citizens voted for a guy who said, we are going to make sure that we protect our borders. We're going to, quote unquote, build a wall. That was a metaphor. We're going to build a wall. We're going to protect our borders. We're going to enforce our laws, and we're going to go find all these people who should not be here, and we are going to get rid of them. He said that during his campaign in 2016. He said it again in 2020. He said it again in 2024, and he got voted for. So we have chosen this. We, all of us, whether you voted for Trump or not, we chose it because democracy rule. There's a democracy and majority rules in a democratic election. A democratic election process, majority rules, and majority said we want that. You have one candidate that said we're going to offer what was the thing Kamala kept saying? A path to citizenship. Remember that phrase she kept using? We're going to offer a path to citizenship for people who have come in here, the dreamers that they call them. These people who have, quote unquote, legal status. That was a loophole that they used. And they shut down that app the day that Trump came into office. They shut the app down. Y'all remember that? So Kamala was saying, we're going to give these people a path to citizenship, a path to become citizens in a much shorter period of time than most people who have to go through the actual paperwork process. We're going to make it faster. Trump said we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to close our borders, defend our borders, enforce our laws, and we're going to get the bad people who are already in, we're going to get them out. This is a clear binary, and it was a clear black and white and a hard line drawn between one candidate and the next, and America, by majority, chose Trump. Therefore, this is what it is. Again, whether you voted for him or not, this is what America chose. You're in America? Okay, that's what you chose. It's like if you're in a group, if you're in a music group, like Destiny's Child, if they're trying to decide on what song they're going to do, and Beyonce wants to do one song, but the other members of the group want to do the other song, then Beyonce got to go with what the group says. I'm sure that's the kind of rule that they got. Now, you might think maybe she can overrule them, but probably not. When they're in the group, that's how it works. When you're in the group, you got to do what the group wants to do, even if you didn't want to do it. So Americans, again, Trump voter or not, this is the real of the situation. And again, in other countries, if someone's doing the wrong thing, if you're an American doing the wrong thing in another country, they get rid of you immediately. You might not even get to go to court. They bring you straight to the airport, and it's over. And they tell you before they close the door of the plane, don't come back to this country. You come back to this country, you're going to be arrested, and it might not be a good thing for you. Then we're going to kick you out again, and you're not going to want to come back a third time. No other country does this. No other country does what Americans are screaming about that we need to do for this person. Again, the person suspected of being here. First of all, we know he was here without proper documentation. And they say he was a member of a gang. Why are people arguing for this? The only reason people are arguing for this, we know the answer, is because Donald Trump's doing it. If Trump wasn't doing this, if Joe Biden was doing this, you wouldn't know about the story. I guarantee you something like this happened under the Biden administration. You never knew about it. Guarantee you something like this happened under the Obama administration, maybe even under George W. Bush. You never knew about it because people weren't so excited to try to make them look bad. But now that Donald Trump does it, all of a sudden people are screaming murder. All right, this is what happens. If we make an error when it comes to immigrants, it's better to make the error of kicking them out than leaving them in. Why? Because they are not citizens. And if you want to be here, you got to go through the proper process. You got to flow through the proper channels, and you can't make any mistakes when it comes to the law while you are trying to become a citizen. And if you do, that's it. That was your chance. You're done. Get out of here. Bye. Thanks for coming. You ain't got to go, but you got to get the hell out of here. That's what it is. And again, if you do everything properly and you're not breaking any laws or rules as a person who came into this country after you were born, fine, do your thing. We have plenty of people who come in here and done it the right way and are upstanding citizens, all good. But this guy, you're a member of a gang and that gang is doing the wrong thing. Well, you're the one who joined the gang. Even if you are a member of the gang, but since you came over here, you didn't do anything wrong, but your gang is doing something wrong. Once you get in the gang, you're in the gang. Right? Ain't no such thing as getting out of the gang, is there? I think once you're in, you're in. I've never been a member of a gang, but that's the way I hear it. That once you're in, you're in. So if you're in that gang and the gang does something wrong, guess what? That is going to reflect on you because you're in the gang. That's what it is. So some people are saying he's not in the gang. The court said he is in the gang. Again, so do we actually know for sure? We don't know. He could say I'm not in the gang. Of course, he's going to say that now because saying that he is in the gang is basically signed, sealed, delivered his fate. He can't come back to America. If he says I'm not in the gang, then he can get a whole lot of support from people who don't like Trump, people on the political left, or people who are saying, well, Trump is wrong for bringing this Maryland dad out of the country. So, of course, he's going to say he's not in the gang. And the court said he is in the gang. And some people say he is and some people say he isn't. I mean, how do we actually seriously know? You don't actually know. We're all talking about if you're talking about your opinion of whether he's in the gang or not, that's what you believe. It's not what we know. Because the court said in the United States of America, you go to court. The court said this is what it is. Many of you know that OJ did it, but the court said he didn't do it. So what are we supposed to do with that? I don't have an answer to that. What are we supposed to do with that? Court said he didn't do it. You say he did do it. Who cares what you said? The court is the outcome. And in life, you need to know. I tell people in my world this all the time. We're in a performance and results-based business. The result is what matters. And the result is, in the sports world, the result is deemed by the scoreboard. If you end up in the judicial system, the result is deemed by the judge or the jury. That's all that matters. What you think and what your family thinks and what your community thinks and what the internet thinks is irrelevant to what the court says if you're in court. So that situation in Texas where the kid got stabbed, the black kid stabbed the white kid, there are some people who say he's innocent, self-defense. Some people say he's guilty, cold-blooded murder. All that really matters is not the internet. What matters is the outcome, which is what happens in court. So with that said, I got some other things that I'll bring up, but I think we should get to the comments because I think we're going to have a lot of them here today. So let me just get right into the commentary. I will start over on YouTube, then we'll go to Instagram, then we'll get over to TikTok. And I guarantee you all right now while you're listening to me, I'm not going to get to all the comments here today because there are too many of them, but I'm going to get to as many as I can within the next hour or so. So let's see what's going on. So over on YouTube, KS just spamming my comments. You have too many comments. I can't. I'm not going to read all these comments. So if you got something substantial, put it in one comment so now I can read it. You got too many people. Let's get to that. So KS says something that I should have addressed. KS on YouTube said, well, Trump then could just decide to deport any black or brown person that he wants. They can just go around. This is what a lot of people I saw saying on X this morning, is that people can just go around. Trump can go around, or his team. They can find a black or brown person, just pick them up and say, oh, this person looks like they're in a gang. Get the court to say that you're in a gang. And then they can just deport you to some prison in El Salvador and you have no due process to get yourself back to the United States of America. This is the fear mongering that people are using to say this is what Trump is going to do. If he could do it to that guy, he could do it to you. And my answer to that is bullshit. No, he can't. No, he won't. And if he would, again, show me when he's done it. Show me when he's done it. If you believe that can happen to you, first, I got two questions. First of all, what are you going to do And the answer is you ain't gonna do anything, because what can you do? You can't do anything. So if you think that could happen, okay, somebody could walk around and pull out a weapon and take your life in 5 minutes if you walk to the Walgreens. All right, that could happen. What are you gonna do? Never leave the house? So again, I don't understand what people's frame is for that. It sounds good on the surface until you spend about 30 seconds thinking about it, and it doesn't quite hold any water. So he could do that to you. He could do it to somebody else. Okay, let's just say that. Okay, let me just seed ground on that point. So okay, yeah, he could do that. I could walk outside today, and the Tom Holman and his team could roll up on me and say, "Prove you're an American citizen. You got a tattoo. We think you're a member of a gang," and I can end up in jail and on my way to El Salvador. Is that possible? I guess we could say it's possible. Is it probable? Not to the point that I wouldn't leave my house. That's what I would say when it comes to that point. Let me see. KS, you got so many comments that I got to spit through many of these and see if I can find any substance here. So someone said, Tay said, Dre's turned into a MAGA apologist. I'm not apologizing. I'm just looking at the situation logically is what I'm doing. If we happen to have a difference of opinion, that's fine. But call me an apologist is you're kind of using that as a pejorative, which is fine if that's the way you see things. But hey, said they don't want him on their team. I'm not on anybody's team. I'm not paid by MAGA. I'm not paid by the political left. And what's interesting about this frame, and I can just see you on here right now, but I'm sure there are people on TikTok saying something similar. The thing is, if I was making the exact same argument opposite of what I'm doing now, say I took the exact same topic that we're talking about here today and said the exact opposite. Those of you who are going at me and attacking me and saying negative things towards me right now, you would be happy. And the people who are listening to me right now who are happy about what I'm saying will be mad. And the point is, if you go out into the world and try to please everybody with your opinions, then you will fail. And you might as well not try to please anyone at all, because, again, what are you going to achieve? So this is the situation. Anyway, I think I got through. Goldie said, why is every live about Trump now? LOL. Every live hasn't been about Trump. And go look at my playlist. Look at my playlist, Goldie Live. I talked about a whole lot of things besides Trump. But I do use these lives to talk about current events. And the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, is that the biggest story in current events whenever Trump is president is indeed Donald Trump. I mean, what you want me to do? I mean, social media is about attention, right? Isn't that the currency of social media, attention? Okay, so any of you who is questioning or wondering why, quote unquote, every live that I do, I'm seeing people on YouTube and Instagram say this, not y'all on TikTok, but people think who, quote unquote, every live is about Trump. Let me ask you a question. How much of my material are you engaging with when I'm not talking about Trump? Because if everybody engaged as much when I was talking about things that are not Trump as you do when I talk about things that are Trump, then I wouldn't be fucking talking about Trump. I could talk about mindset, discipline, confidence, mental toughness, business, personal development, leadership, communication skills. I could talk about those all day, every day for damn near 24 hours a day if you motherfuckers engage with it. But y'all don't engage, so I start talking about Trump. So if you don't like me talking about Trump, then shut the fuck up when I talk about Trump and engage when I talk about evergreen topics. But since you don't do that, shut the fuck up now. All right, that's my answer to that question. So let's see. We got Memphis here. We got Cleveland here. We got Crespo Realty. Good morning. King Go said, why is every... All right, so I just answered that question. So let's get to what we got going on over on TikTok. So people get mad, or they claim to be mad when I'm talking about Trump. But then when I'm talking about other shit, they don't say shit. So which way you want it? If you want me to talk about evergreen stuff, put your money on the table when I talk about evergreen things. Your money, put your attention on the table, put your engagement on the table. But since y'all don't do that, we talking about the thing that gets everybody's attention, including yourself. So the Miss said, I agree, citizens. Thank you. Carla said, oh my God, just made my day, a country of citizens. Well, thank you. Amber, good morning to you. Ray said, you are giving bro way too much credit with the term metaphors. I don't know if he's talking to me. Big Sam said, no one voted for him. Why does his page only have 500? His Tim page have 500 subs. Who are you talking about? Who's Tim? What's Tim? I don't know what Tim is. Big Sam, what are you talking about? Green Eye Tigers, good morning to you. That goat said, we are not a country of immigrants. No, we're a country of citizens. Immigrants who come here with positive intentions they come here to become citizens. All right. Any immigrants listen to this right now? You came here to be a citizen? Put yes or no in the comments. And I'm looking at the top of the comments, by the way. So if y'all think I'm ignoring your comment, I'm not. I'm scrolling from the top. So as far up as I could go. I knew there was a lot of comments here today. The great man said, awesome distinction, citizens versus immigrants. Jabbo said he's going to get rid of you too soon. Yeah, I know. Y'all been saying that for 10 years. If he gets rid of me, then you can say I told you so. Erica Farrow, good morning. Nick said Nader. Ralph Nader, is he still alive? Quant said I didn't vote for that man. That's okay. You didn't vote for him, but you did because that's what we got. Aunt Niece says it wasn't the majority. Y'all still holding on to that? It's over. Aunt Niece is over. The election is over. Jabbo said you're not American either. What am I? According to my documentation, I am. She had no clue. Who you talking about when you say she? Glenn said the Maryland guy was here since 2011. That's 14 years. Why did he not get citizenship? He had time. It takes a long time to get citizenship, according to the people who I've heard talk about it. I'm not an immigrant, but people I've heard talk about citizenship, it can take 10 plus years. So I don't know if he was even trying. Maybe he didn't even try. So we don't know. Rachel Morin, yes. Sandra Blundell, thank you for that name. Her name is Rachel Morin. She was a mother of 5, and she got her leg taken by a guy who was here illegally while she was running on a trail near her house. That's her name, Rachel Morin. That's the woman that I said Megyn Kelly mentioned. Megyn Kelly said her name. I just forgot the name. Robert said reality has a right bias. What exactly does that mean? Robert said, this is what I voted for. This is what everybody voted for. Even if you didn't vote, this is what you voted for. Big Sam said, who you trying to convince? Because no one believes that anyone voted overwhelmingly for Trump. Everybody voted for Trump. If you live in the United States of America, you voted for Trump. Even if you voted for Kamala, you cast a vote for Kamala, or you didn't vote at all, or you voted for, what's the other woman's name? Jill Stein, or you did a write-in vote. Even if you voted for one of them, or you did not even show up to the poll, you voted for Trump. Why? Because majority rules, and the majority chose Trump. The majority of the electoral college, that is. I don't care about the popular vote because that's not what the outcome is decided by. What did I tell you all? We're in a results-based business. The result is decided by whatever the electoral college says, and the electoral college says Trump won. Period. And if you live here, that's what you voted for. MAGA Nation, thank you for the follow. All right, that's only going to encourage people to think that I'm MAGA. Shout out to MAGA Nation. Let's see. Snowstorm said, Beyonce will have you unalive if she doesn't get her way. I know Beyonce might not have been the best example, but y'all get my point. Magnus says, only difference is we can impeach him. Magnus, when were you born? How old are you? They already tried to impeach him twice. Actually, they did impeach him, but impeachment just means you bring charges. They still got to get him convicted. That won't happen. So I already said this 2 days ago, if the Democrats get control of Congress in 2026 in the midterm elections, they will impeach Trump at least for the 3rd time, maybe even a 4th time. But they will impeach him. But are they going to actually convict him and remove him? The answer is no. So it will be more theater. But I guarantee you, I'm willing to bet money. If the Democrats get control of Congress, they will impeach him. I'll bet any amount of money on that. I probably can't even get good odds on that because it's so obvious it's going to happen. User said, maybe need to do an appropriate live to allow others to bring up proper points from the left side. Well, first of all, appropriate is a subjective term, and the only person who deems what's appropriate over here in my live is me. This is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship. And whatever you think is proper, user, here's what you can do. Put your real name and your real face on your profile. Give yourself a profile name. Start a live stream and say whatever it is that you want to say. And just use all my material as source material for what you want to say. So all you got to do is just counter everything that I said and do your own live stream. And then you can see how much of the audience responds to it. And they'll tell you exactly what your quote unquote proper points are worth. Bentley Blake said, people forget that criminals are coming in with good people too. We need to filter out the bad ones. Yes, that's a lot of work. You're talking about a country of 330 million people. How do you figure that out? The who's who said rules are rules. That is true. Now, the thing is, the who's who is which rules we talking about because we can't even agree on the rules right now. Bray said the airport is understanding, but not jail. What do you mean? Like if somebody if you get arrested, you go to jail. I mean, that's pretty much how it goes. You know what I mean? What do you want? The airport, I'm using that as a metaphor, Bray just praising him, is that if you're in another country doing the wrong thing, they just bring you to the airport. I'm using that metaphorically, and they kick you out and say, don't come back to our country. And that is generally what they do. Directionally, that's what they do. Excuse me. You may go to jail between now and then, but they do kick you out. I knew people in Mexico, for example. I played some basketball in Mexico, and I had a couple of teammates who had been there before me, and they overstayed their visa in Mexico because you get a certain amount of time to stay, but then you got to renew or leave and come back. They stayed for a long time. Somehow, some way, it got found out that they were there. They got arrested. They got taken to the jail in Mexico, and our Mexican connect down there had to try to get them out, and they got kicked out because y'all ain't supposed to be here. That's how it goes. They take you to jail first, then they kick you out. So jail is just part of the process. So y'all got to understand, part of due process is taking you to jail. That's part of the due process, is you go to jail. You go to jail while they're at least holding you, figuring out what happens next. Danny Anderson, good morning. The GOAT says, was he a member of a gang? According to the court, he was. Again, how will we ever truly know? We don't know. But according to the court, he was a member of the gang. Again, did OJ do it? How will we ever really know? We don't know. But according to the court, he didn't do it. But according to many people, he absolutely did do it. And they're willing to, as they say, die on that hill of he did it. So it depends on who you ask. All I care about is what the court says, because the court makes the ultimate decision. AJ said the Supreme Court was like, hey, don't do this. Everyone would know about it if the president say, I'm not quite sure what you're saying there. Magnus says, just show the proof. Well, the proof is that the court said he is, and they shipped him out. That's the proof. What else you need to see, Magnus? And further, for all of you who are listening to this, the court, Supreme Court, Donald Trump and the current administration and ICE and Tom Homan and the Border Security, they don't need to prove anything to you and I. They don't. It may make some of you feel helpless, but that's the situation. They don't have to prove anything to you. They have a court. We have a system. We have laws. We have process. They followed it, and this is what happened. And if it gets overturned, it's because they decide. The same people who made the decision make another decision. That's the only way this is going to change. Erica said 2 courts found him guilty of being in the gang. Exactly. I said that earlier. He got found guilty of being in the gang. Elise, thank you for the follow. Zaria said they're saying he's part of a gang everywhere except in front of a judge. Yes, in front of a judge, he got found guilty of being in the gang. Zaria, I'm not telling you my opinion, and I'm not telling you social media's opinion. I'm telling you what the court said, and the judge works in the court. So Zaria, I don't know what you're referring to, but that's inaccurate. Mateo said, wasn't he was proven not to be a gang member? I'm not quite sure what you're saying there, but I'm guessing you're asking, was he proven not to be one? No, the court said he was one. Then he filed an appeal, and they said, nope, that's not good enough. You are a gang member. You got to go. EVB said you need to wear a red suit. And what does that mean? Does that mean I'm MAGA? I need to wear a red suit? Is that what you're saying? I don't think a red suit would look good on me. I like generally plain colors. Let's see. Jabo said, I don't know where you got your low degree. What degree? Who told you I had a degree? I don't know what you're talking about. And what I'm talking about here today does not require a degree. You can't learn this in college. Grammy Canna, follow the live creator. Thank you for the follow. Big Sam said, only MAGA is saying he illegal. Why would the courts say to bring him back if that was true? Well, you tell me the answer to that question, Sam. Somebody in the comments answer Big Sam here. Make sure y'all tag Big Sam at Big Sam 5. He said, why would the court say bring him back if he is illegal? Anybody got a good answer to that question? I've already talked about this. The political left has this. They planted their flag here. Big Sam, how old are you? Are you more than 10 years old? Where were you during the Biden administration from 2020 to 2024? What were you doing? What do you mean? Why would they bring him back if he's illegal? Did you not watch the Biden administration? What were you doing during those 4 years? Were you sleeping? You Rip Van Winkle? You were asleep for 4 years? What the hell were you doing during those 4 years? Saying, why would they bring him back if he was illegal? Are you joking? I hope you're joking. TT, thanks for the follow. User said, don't forget to learn from the other side's talking points because you're not including all points. Yes, I am. I included a bunch of them. I didn't include all the points. User, if I didn't include all the points, it's got to be 24 hours long. I can't include every point. I got to pick and choose because we are on a time constraint. Natalia says, are you a lawyer? No, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TikTok. That's my answer to that question. People ask me that. I'm not a lawyer. Bray said they're breaking all the rules, but I guess you won't comment on that. What rules are they breaking? Name the rules they're breaking. I think I addressed everything. The GOAT said, what do you know that SCOTUS doesn't? Well, you had to read their court ruling and then understand what Trump is pushing back against, or he's not really pushing back. He's just not responding to what they said. Frazzle said, thanks for the common sense talk, much needed these days. And further on that comment, the GOAT is not about one person knowing something, another person not knowing something, because SCOTUS ultimately makes the ruling. So what I think about their ruling is irrelevant, but what Trump thinks about the ruling is also irrelevant. So there's levels to this shit, as they say. Jeffrey says, Kilmar is not a gang member. That was a rumor. According to the courts, Jeffrey, I'm not talking about what the internet says. I'm talking about what the court said. And some people are saying he's not in the gang. Again, the court said he is in the gang. So you saying it on TikTok is not going to change anything. And I see a couple of you saying he wasn't part of the gang. Okay, I mean, what you telling me for? I mean, saying it on here is not going to change anything. Completely Always says cis.org has great articles on this case. And what do they say? Completely Always, if you were to kind of what's the word? To give us an overview of what they're saying. What do they say? Monkey Face followed the live creator. Thank you. Robert said, 2 court said. Yes, again, I'm just trying to understand why y'all keep saying he wasn't a gang member. The court said he was. Then right after that, the GOAT says no court says he was in a gang. So this is what I mean when I say we're in an information war, ladies and gentlemen. We can't even agree on what the court said. The court said he was in a gang. All right, that I can attest to. They did say he's in a gang. TT said, totally get that, but did he commit a crime? Did he actually commit a crime while here? TT, that's irrelevant. He was here illegally, first of all, so that's enough reason to kick him out, just on that alone. Secondly, he was deemed to be a member of a gang, and the rules are, according to the current administration, if you're a member of certain gangs, you get thrown out just on that alone. So he doesn't have to commit a crime. If you're here illegally without proper documentation, that in and of itself is a crime. So to answer your question, yes. Rob Knight said the Supreme Court said he needs to be brought back. So, I mean, if that's all that mattered, Rob, I wouldn't be doing this conversation right now. The fact that Donald Trump said so is the reason why I'm talking about it. Happy Little Thing said the court said he was not MS-13. That's not true. Completely Always said, who cares if he was in a gang? He had a removal order. Exactly, which is what I said at the beginning. He has a removal order. Whether he's in a gang or not doesn't matter. The fact that he was in a gang is why him being sent to El Salvador is still okay, because as a member of a gang, you don't get the same coverage, let's just say, that you would get if you were not. Bourne said he is a gang member. People snitched on him and he's gone now, thank God. So we can't even agree on this. Erica said, why would he ask for asylum for protection against the rival gang? Well, sometimes they do that just because they don't want to go back to where they're from. Maybe they want to get sent somewhere else, and maybe they're trying to delay the process. So there's a lot of reasons you could do it. Same reason that my 2-year-old child, when he's going to bed at night, he will just come up with different reasons to delay the inevitable of actually going to sleep. He's like, oh, can I have some water? Can you blow my nose? I need to use the potty. He'll just come up with stuff because he's trying to delay the inevitable. And adults do the exact same thing. Jojo said, this is their new target. They're done with Elon and Tesla now. Any guesses what next week will bring? Yeah, RFK is next on the menu. Jojo, RFK Jr. is next on the menu. So it's going to be Trump all the time. Trump's always on the menu. Trump is like the recurring revenue thing, and then they just pick and choose different people. So Elon was first on the menu. Elon's about to go back to running his regular business. Then, how's that Tesla stock doing, by the way? Then RFK Jr. is going to be next on the menu, and then they're just going to keep picking and choosing. They already had Pete Hegseth on the menu a little bit, and Cash Patel is going to get on the menu. He's going to have his turn. Pam Bondi's going to have her turn. They're not going to go as hard at Pam because she's female. Tulsi, same thing. They're going to go at her harder than they go at Pam. Because they're female, they're going to go a little bit easier on them. But all the men in the Trump administration, they all going to get their turn. RFK Jr. is next on the menu. That's my prediction. Natalia says, so he was in a gang. Why would they deem to bring him back? That's a really good question, Natalia. That's the one that doesn't make any sense. Again, why are people who are against Trump and on the political left wanting to bring back a gang member or a black and brown person to a racist country? Big Sam, maybe if he had due process, he would not be here. Well, he did have due process and he got kicked out. Lady Lynn said, gangs pressure people to join whether they really want. It doesn't matter where they're from. Gangs in America do that, Lady Lynn. That happens everywhere. Lady said, gangs from Central and South America pressure people to join whether they really want to or not. Gangs everywhere in the world pressure people to join whether they want to or not. Quant said the courts are corrupt too. Okay, I'm fine with that point. I tell people, this is what I tell people. I've said this 30 times in the last month on this very feed. Stay out of the legal system. All right, stay out of the legal system. Because the court, you don't want your fate in the hands of the court. Even if you think you're right and you're justified in whatever you did that got you there, you don't want your fate in the hands of the court, ever. That applies to all of you, even those of you who are born in America and your citizens. Stay out of court if you can. Chef TikTok said he entered illegally, was sent back to where he belongs. Yes, exactly. So if you enter this country illegally, you can be kicked out. That's it. There's nothing else that we need to talk about, whether he was in a gang or not. You get kicked out because you entered illegally. What people should be mad about, and there is some credence to it, is that why he got sent to El Salvador, because he asked not to. He asked for asylum. If you want to be mad about anything, it's that point, but nobody's even bringing that point up. The GOAT said, what court said? He said, I'm searching. I can't find anything. Well, you keep looking because it did happen. User said, you are the reason why we are now in a dictatorship. We're not in a dictatorship. User, if we were in a dictatorship, you know what happened to people like you who are against Trump? They'd be knocking on your door and coming to get you if we were in a dictatorship. You know what's happening in the country that starts with the letter GERM, that country? You know that somebody got arrested, like it was like a month ago. Somebody got arrested for hate speech on social media. If we were in a dictatorship, that's what would be happening to you. You want to see a dictatorship? Go to the country that starts with the letter R and the country that starts with the letter C. If you want to see a dictatorship. We are nowhere near a dictatorship. A lot of Americans like to say that, but please, if we were in a dictatorship, you couldn't say anything bad about the person in charge. And as soon as you did, they'd be at your door, like immediately. They know where you at. Wendy says, someone posted a video, had a removal order from 2019. 2 judges upheld that order. Yes, exactly. Wendy, I said that at the beginning. 2019 is when he first got arrested. That's when all this started. Baig said, regardless if he was in a gang or not, there's a process. He was illegally deported without process. No, he wasn't. Darren said, the answer is a simple due process. He got due process. And the answer is not simple because we are not even agreeing on what due process even means in this case. That's kind of what the crux of this conversation is what is due process? Clapped out said, the president of El Salvador said he's a gang member and he would not release him into his country or our country. Yes. Thank you for reiterating that. The president down there said, no, we're not letting this guy out of jail because he's a gang member. He's in jail. That'd be like somebody in another country calling Donald Trump and say, hey, you got this person who belongs he's from our country. He's in jail in America. Let him out of jail and send him to us. And Donald Trump might say, no, we're not letting anybody out of jail because he's in jail. So why would you let somebody out of jail? Even if you're sending them somewhere else, why would you let somebody out of jail? You're not doing that. Big Sam said, OJ did not do it. Was you there? How would you know? Mofo, I said, the court said he did not do it. What are you listening to? Completely Lawless said, the bail judge April 29 made a finding that he was verifiably in a gang. Yes, that's the legal language right there. So I'm going to say it one more time. Completely Lawless said this. The bail judge said 2019, there was a finding that he was verifiably in a gang. That is what they said. I'm saying it in more common terms, but that is the legal terminology right there, what he said. Daniel said the words he said was he was in fear of a rival gang and retaliate against him. Yes. Well, that's what his lawyer said. Supreme Court, when they decide 9-0 that he should come back. Yeah, and the answer to that is so what? And that's the reason why we're having this conversation. So what? Rob said the court said bring him back. What about that court? Good question. My answer is what about them? Donald Trump just ignored them. What about them? That's what it becomes. The judge already ruled they did not follow due process. Which judge? Indiana Homegirl says so much TDS in the comments today. Well, it's TDS all the time. It's just certain topics bring them out. Martin said court did not say he was in a gang. The opposite. One cop said it in a police report. Okay, so again, this is why we're in an information war, folks. We can't even agree on the facts. Chef TikTok said illegals are invaders. They should not have due process. Some believe that. Some see it that way. Let's see. Big Sanchez. Trump said he wants to empty the jail and send him to El Salvador. All right, Big Sam, now you're trolling. Maya said homegrown people. Clint said he already said, Carlos said, I don't really care what the court says. At one point, they told me separate but equal is law. Yes, I mean, so if we're going off what the court says, I mean, there are times court said things that many of you would not be happy with. So we can't just go off what the court says when it suits you and then ignore the court when it doesn't suit you. People can say the same thing about Donald Trump. I can say the same thing about all of you. So many of you saying the court said this, the court said that. The court said a whole lot of things. All right. At one time, the court said, and the agreement was, it was upheld that black people got to go. They can't sit at the front of the bus. All right. At one time, the court said separate but equal. Like who was that? Carla just posted. So the court has said many things that many of you probably are not fans of. So we can't just say, well, the court said as if that makes it okay, because if we're doing that, we got to do it all the time. It's not picking and choosing. And again, you can say the same thing to Donald Trump. So that's where we are. That's where we are in the world right now, ladies and gentlemen. Martin said, Constitution is about the rights of people, not just citizens. I understand that. But we are a country of citizens, not a country of immigrants. Immigrants want to become citizens. Patty Washington, good morning. Dunbar Rob said, people don't realize if Trump fails, everyone fails. Yeah, I think people logically understand that, but most people are driven by emotion when it comes to Donald Trump. He tends to get people emotionally activated, for lack of a better term. Amber said, we elected Trump. We all didn't vote for him. Well, I get it. Semantics. That's the word I was looking for earlier. So what you're saying here is semantics. We all voted for him. Yeah. Even if you voted for Kamala, you voted for Trump. That's what I'm saying. If you voted for Kamala, you voted for Trump. Because the outcome is we got Trump. So I judge everything by its outcome. That's just my style. J and NC, thanks for the follow. Patty said, I vote for you to educate us on your topic. Well, you getting it. You're getting what you voted for. And I'm just trying to look at it. I'm just trying to look at the situation logically and objectively. It's not even that I'm entering new information into the record. Some of you listen to this who know about this case. I'm not telling you anything you didn't know. I'm just putting it into proper context and explaining why it makes sense, why what's happening is happening. That's really what I do best. I'm not really giving you any new information on this subject. There are subjects where I can give you information. This is not one of them. Allegria said, why people are still stuck on the elections? Why can't they move on? Because of who won the election. That's why they can't move on. Rebel said, Bill Clinton was impeached, young folks. Yes, he was. He was not removed. He did not have sexual relations with that woman. I know Monica Lewinsky is still talking about that 30 years later. Monica Lewinsky has a TV show, a podcast. It's called, what's it called? What is it? Redefining? It was something like that. I can't remember what it was called. I heard people were talking about this Monica Lewinsky show. Her whole life for the last 30 years has been talking about how do I move on from giving Bill Clinton head in the Oval Office. And 30 years later, she's still talking about it. Audrey said, Trump is the greatest president we ever had. Okay, you're entitled to that opinion. Martin says, if he continues to defy the Supreme Court, we might not have to wait until Dems in power. No, I disagree. We're going to need Dems in power. They won't be able to get it through right now because the Congress is run by Republicans. They're not going to do that. After the show they put on during the first two impeachments, Republicans are not going to do that. Even if they disagree with Trump, they're not going to do that. But if I'm wrong, I'll come here and admit I was wrong. Reciprocal Terror said both impeachments are ridiculous. Future ones will likely be. Yes, exactly. And I guarantee they're going to do it because the Democrats seem to not learn. But I think if they were to impeach him a third time, if they do, and I think they will if they get control of Congress, it's only going to embolden Trump and make people who are supporters of him support him even harder. And it's going to make people who are on the fence become supporters of Trump and not like the Democrats because they're basically putting on these show impeachment trials to try to make him look bad. But everything they've done to try to make him look bad only made him look better. They already tried this. They tried this in 2024 with all the legal cases. All it did was make him stronger. They tried it all through 2024. And he won the election anyway. So, I mean, can they not learn from this? I don't think they learned. And I think if they get control of Congress in 2026, they will do it again. And it's only going to embolden him. And it will hurt the Democrats even more. And who's going to run in 2028 anyway? Who's their candidate? Stephen A. Smith? Good luck with that. Carla, Indiana said, you're on fire today. Thank you, Carla. Y'all posting links in here. We can't click on links. Those of y'all posting links in this, we can't click on links. And no way anybody's going to remember all the words in that to type it out properly. Martin said, you figure out with due process, what's this admin is actively missed the rest of what you said there. Reciprocal Tariff said, Democrats defend criminals, but not the victims of crime. In many cases, they do. It depends on who it is. Reciprocal Tariff, I will say for the Democrat, it depends on who it is. So if the victim is somebody who might be politically to the right, they ignore the situation. But if it's someone who's politically to the left, they make noise about it. So that's usually what they do. Reciprocal Tariff, he was in our country illegally. He's serving time in El Salvador. He's a citizen of El Salvador. All correct. All correct. Martin said, you're wrong again. Court did not say that on police report. He was never filed. Allegedly, okay, so now this is an information argument. And I don't need to prove it to you. If you believe that, you go ahead and believe it. But I'm not in the business of changing people's minds. If that's what you believe happened, then you go ahead and keep believing that. All we got to go off of is the outcome. That's the bottom line is the outcome. Dancer said, this gentleman giving beneficial information. Take notes. Thank you, Dancer29. Globe said, oh my God, I love facts. I don't see it too often. Well, thank you. I don't even like using the word facts because it's very easy to mislead people with facts. You just pick the ones you like and leave out the ones you don't. Philip said, this is giving, I can't even sit on a love seat because I'm not in love. I don't know what that means, Philip. Never heard that metaphor before. Reciprocal said, Trump shut the border, Kamala opened the border, and she was the border czar. Well, Biden opened the border. He was in charge. And he said Kamala was the border czar. And then during the campaign cycle, when Kamala got there, when she took over for Joe Biden, she tried to distance herself from the border czar thing because she knew she looked terrible on the border. But we got to put that on Biden. We can't put that on Kamala. He was in charge. She was working for him. Reciprocal tariff said he was in our answered that one. Deanna said Americans first. Yes, that's what Trump said. Again, we voted for it. Carl said Bukele said he's not releasing him. End of story. That is pretty much the end of the story. B said being a member of a gang is not grounds for charges of deportation. You're stretching our laws. No, that's not what I said. The reason he got deported is because he was here illegally. The member of the gang is just adding on to it. This is adding fuel to the fire, for lack of a better term. But he was here illegally. That's enough. There's nothing else to it. Fortunately, traffic is way down now. The border is closed thanks to the Trump administration. Yeah, they closed the border, and all of a sudden, all these people coming in have lessened. Happening really quickly. Magic formula. Enforce the laws, and we get less illegal stuff happening. Melissa says, some of y'all care more about illegal gangbangers than you do about your own families. Well, this is the thing. Again, you're right about that, what you're saying, Melissa. The reason is what's interesting is, again, because it's Trump. That's why people get all excited to make it seem like this is some terrible thing because Trump did it. But again, if this same thing happened under Biden, the same thing happened under Obama, but none of us know about it because it wasn't on the news because nobody cared. Even the people who were against Obama did not dislike the fact that he would do something like this, so they didn't make news about it. Because, news, it bleeds, it leads. So they bring up the negative thing to get your attention. Positive things don't get attention. So even Rush Limbaugh, who was attacking Obama every day, if Obama did something Rush liked, he didn't say anything. He would only bring up stuff that he didn't like. And here's the thing with Trump. When he does things that they don't like, that's when they make news about it. So that's the reason why this has become such a big thing. And people don't really care about this guy. The guy who got, what was his name again? Abrego Garcia. People don't really care about him. Nobody cares about him personally. What people care about is making Trump look bad or making Trump and his supporters MAGA. They just care about making MAGA look bad. Anything they can use to make MAGA look bad, they'll use it. It has nothing to do with the guy himself. Nobody cares about this guy at all. If you seen this guy in the street and someone told you, hey, this guy might be in a gang, would you go and try to help him out? Would you go talk to him? Would you shake his hand? Would you buy him lunch? None of you would do that. Most of you wouldn't do that. But through the internet, all of a sudden his life matters so much. Glow said, because you go by fact and not feeling, some people will discredit you. I love facts. Well, thank you. I get what you're saying there, Glow. I appreciate it. Allegria said, why do journalists keep saying he was mistakenly deported? Are they blind? No, they're not blind. They know exactly what they're doing. This is the game. Y'all got to understand the game of the media. The game of the media is if it bleeds, it leads. That's how all media works, on the right and on the left. They don't open the news by telling you things that would make you happy and say, oh, that's a nice thing to happen. They tell you that at the end of the show, if you're even still watching. They tell you all the stuff that's going to get you excited, and excitement does not have to be positive. Excitement can be negative. Anything that gets you emotionally engaged, that's what they tell you about. Why? Because when you're emotionally engaged, you pay attention. And when you pay attention, they can run ads, they can show commercials. And when they run ads and show commercials, they make money. This is a business. The media is a business, ladies and gentlemen. I got to understand that. Their bottom line is making money. Now, whatever they got to do to make money, they do it. And if that means they got to twist the truth, if it means they have to make a story where there is no story, if it means they have to leave out certain facts and emphasize other facts out of proportion, if those things lead to we can make more money so that everybody can keep their jobs and advance their careers, they will do it. Because again, what most of these mofos in the media do, if it wasn't for what they do, many of them have no other professional skill. So you have to understand that these people are doing what they need to do to get what they need to get because they have no other way of getting it. So even if you think the media is dishonest or you think they are out of integrity or doing things that don't quite make sense, you got to understand the game that they're in. They're in a game where they have to do certain things in order to keep their jobs. And listen, everybody got bills. All right, all of you listening to me right now, you need food, clothing, shelter just like them. All right, they got to eat just like you got to eat. And if that means they got to go and emphasize out of proportion some little fact of a bigger story about Donald Trump to make you pay attention so that they can make money, again, what would you do? If you were Caitlin Collins at CNN, what would you do? What else is she going to do? If she's not doing that, what is she going to do? Again, that's what you got to ask yourself. If you're Joy Reid, what would you do? If you're Rachel Maddow, what would you do? Again, if they're going to pay you that much money and all you got to do is follow these rules, would you not follow the rules? You want to give up that money? Okay. How you going to make the money otherwise? You better have an answer to that question before you decide you're not going to follow the rules. So sometimes in life, you got to do things that you might not like doing simply because the job demands that you do it and you need the job. Like how many of you have had to do something just this week at your job that you didn't want to do, but you did anyway? Why? Because you need that check. You got bills. I'm not saying you're doing something unethical, and I believe that the people on the media's left side, I don't think they think they're doing anything unethical. I think they actually don't like Trump, and they really do feel negatively about Trump. So the things that they're doing, to them, it seems normal. I don't think I don't think Caitlin Collins or Rachel Maddow think they're doing anything wrong. I think they truly believe their positions. Now, do they do a little bit of playing it up? Yes, just same way that what's the guy's name? Bill O'Reilly will play things up, the same way that Rush Limbaugh will play things up. But do they generally believe the direction that they're talking? I believe they absolutely do. Now, they do it a little bit extra for TV because they understand this is the media business. You got to do things. You got to put on the show. This is show business. You got to put on the show. So Rachel Maddow understands she has to put on the show. Rush Limbaugh knew he had to put on the show. Bill O'Reilly understands I got to put on the show to get the attention and keep people's attention. And at the same time, I do believe that they believe the position that they held. So people on the media's left, I don't think that they wake up every day and say, damn, I got to tell this lie about Donald Trump today. I don't think they think that. I think they believe they're telling the truth. So no, they're not blind, Allegria. They know exactly what they're doing. They just pick and choose the pieces that make sense to them, which is what all human beings do, by the way. All of us do this. We pick and choose the pieces that make sense to us. The issue with Trump is that they've been going so hard against him for so long that it's become so obvious that now they're starting to look silly. That's the part that I think you're getting at. You didn't say it in so many words, but that's what's happening. We already know that happened. Look at all of 2024. Everything that happened in 2024, from the court cases to the outcome of the election, all of it was a backlash to the political left doing too much to make Trump look bad to the point that it started to work against them. And they didn't get the hint. And now here we are in this new administration, and they're still doing the same thing. So they haven't quite gotten the message yet. And I don't know if there's anyone in the Democratic Party who can get enough of their attention to get them to realize, hey, how about we try a different direction with this? Because they're still doing the same thing they were doing before. So that's the problem that they have. I don't know if they're going to solve it before 2026. And secondly, definitely by 2028. So that's the political left's issue right now, is they have to figure that out. And they haven't figured it out yet. Chief said, where are we? Irma, thank you for the gift. Good to see you here as usual. Betsy Husson, good morning. Chief said, these people still believe the BS they hear on CNN and Fox. Well, a lot of people do. They still get attention, as I just explained. Dustin said he was doing the same thing Biden was during the 4 years. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Biden and Obama did the same thing that we're talking about Trump doing. It's just nobody talked about it when they did it. Nobody cared when they did it. To Amber said, Dre, are you married? Very curious to know, but only if you're open about it. Yes, I am. Don't you see my son walking in here? I'm not watching him, obviously. Yes, I am. Carla said, people act like they don't remember the planes flying in illegals in the middle of the night and in the middle of the day. They weren't hiding it. They were just doing it. Linda said, love your common sense. Thank you. Jay said, disrespecting 9 to 10 is the biggest crime in America. All right, we'll take him to jail. All right, they tried that one already. Carla said, I don't really care what the court says. At one point, they told me separate but equal is, well, yes, you pinned that. I saw that. Mark, thanks for the follow. Moderators, I see any good comments, just go ahead and pin them. I'm not going to get through all the comments here today. I'm telling y'all that right now. Erica said, the gang, unverified. He was in gang 2 courts. He also said that he was in a gang. So here's another piece. So everybody's saying different things about the gang, yes or no. All that matters is what the court said. I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Shelly Fields, thanks for the follow. A New Start said, no, they didn't. He was accused of being a part of NYC MS-13. So again, there's another counter argument. Uncle Mike says she filed charges against him. Who are you talking about? Talking about OJ? If you're talking about OJ, then yes, I know. I saw the documentary. Allegra said, the court said it. We keep fighting over this topic. Because some people said the court didn't say it. That's again, information war, folks. That's where we're at right now. We're in an information war right now. Dustin said, I like you. You speak your mind, whether it sticks up from one side or the other. Yes, I've been doing this for a while, Dustin, so I'm glad you found me. I got a show that comes out every day called Work on Your Game. You can find it on Apple or Spotify. Those episodes are only 20 to 30 minutes where I talk about more evergreen stuff. But I saw people on Instagram and YouTube saying, well, why you keep talking about Trump? LOL. Because when I talk about evergreen stuff, it doesn't draw nearly as much attention as when I talk about Trump. So if you want me to talk about evergreen stuff all day, every day on my lives, then engage with the evergreen stuff. If I was talking about something evergreen, if I was talking about like discipline today, Right now, it says 148 people watching this live. I look at the overall TikTok stats today. My overall views today on TikTok is 2,500 people have looked at this, and I picked up 75 new followers, 19 gifters in just today's live stream. If I was talking about discipline, it'd be like 50 people total. I got 2,500 people watch it because I'm talking about Trump. If I was talking about discipline, it'd be 50 people in here total in the whole live. So any of you asking why I'm talking about Trump, now you know. And anyway, I will talk about discipline. Just listen to my show. I got books on, you see these books behind me? I got books on discipline, mindset, confidence, business, sales. My newest book is called The Sales Discipline System. You see it right there. I do sales trainings. I talk about evergreen stuff, but I mean, come on. Look at the results. Let's see, where were we? John said, liberals are funny as hell. Yes, they're funny as hell when Trump is the topic. I think liberals will go back to being normal after 2028, assuming Trump doesn't run for a third term, which I doubt is going to happen. But I think they'll go back to being normal liberals when Trump is not around. Trump has made everything, Trump has exacerbated everything. So people who are on the right have gone even further to the right. People who are on the left gone further to the left. But the left has moved way more left than the right has moved right, just to be clear. The left has moved way left. I would say my views are like normal from, you take whatever normal was in 2010. I was right there. I was leaning actually more to the left in 2010. What happened is I have not moved at all. My views have not changed at all from 2010 to now. Only thing that's changed is that the left was right here and the right was right here. I was a little bit to the left like this. The left moved so far to the left that now the line is over here. So if I'm still standing in the same spot, now people consider me right. That's all that changed. I did not become right. I did not become conservative. I am not MAGA. I've had the same views since 2005. I've been on YouTube. I was on YouTube in 2005. I didn't start really messing with TikTok till like last summer. But my views haven't changed. My perspective has not changed at all. Only thing that changed is that the left moved so far to the left that now if you don't move with them, then they consider you right and you're MAGA, you're a right-wing grifter, you're conservative. These are things people call me. All right, when have I ever been right? Never. So anyway, Jay said, where's the proof of being gang member located? In the judge's mouth. What the judge said. And so a couple of you people still arguing about whether he was in a gang or not. I mean, it really doesn't matter whether you can convince me. You're not going to convince me. I'm not going to convince you. All we can go off of is what actually happened. Outcome-based business, folks. Outcome/result-based business. All we can go off of is the result. The result is he got deported, and it was either because he was illegal. It was because he was illegal, excuse me. Whether he was a gang member or not is actually irrelevant to the topic. Big picture, it's irrelevant. He was here illegally. Now, nobody's arguing that. Jacob said, even in the U.S., when you're in a gang in prison, your levels get upgraded, so you go to higher security, which is why we need to deport. All right, there you go. Who you talking about? Wife filed charges against him, Uncle Mike. Who you talking about? Who's he? I need y'all to use actual proper nouns. Rival gangs proves he's in the gang. Can't have a rival if you aren't in the gang. That's a really good point, Roni. So there's a good point that Roni Teresa Rodriguez made here. So people are saying he wasn't in a gang. Okay, so if he's not in a gang, why is he telling the court, don't send me back to El Salvador because the other gangs are going to get me? If he's not in the gang, why does he care? Again, he left America when he was, not America, excuse me, El Salvador when he was like 16. And he's been here for a while. And you've been in America for almost over 10 years. Why are you worried about a gang if you're not in a gang? But the gang, you don't even know you exist. Most of the people in the gang now were not even in the gang when you left the country the first time. So why would they even know that you exist, let alone are they going to do something to you? That doesn't even make any sense. So if you're not in the gang, why are you worried about a rival gang? That doesn't add up at all. So for those of you making the gang point. Chief said, keyword rival gangs. Yes, so a couple of you pointed that out. Jacob, thanks for the follow. Kabubi said, known days, you must be mindful of who you associate with and affiliation brings about. That's true. You're saying this guy, Brego Garcia, had a domestic violence charge against his wife. I didn't know that. Well, a charge is not a conviction. So just because he had a charge doesn't mean he was convicted. Big Sam said, district attorney described the deportation as wholly illegal. Again, so Y'all telling me that some certain district attorneys and the Supreme Court said something and Trump didn't follow what they said, then the answer becomes, so what? I understand, but so what? Big Sam said, what you were saying is false. Again, so what? Like, let's just say everything that I said here is false. So what? How's it going to change the outcome? Results-based business, ladies and gentlemen. J and NC, I answered that question. You posted that comment like 6 times. Hushump said he asked for asylum and was denied because there is no asylum for gang members. Okay, I don't know that to be true, but let's just put that on the record. Put that into the record of the conversation. AJ said I moved to the C country. I gotta be careful saying their name. Perla said, do I think El Salvador is a dictatorship? I know nothing about El Salvador, so I can't answer that question. Kate said he wants to live in a dictatorship, but I'm going to go to NK. I gotta be careful saying countries' names here. LA Heck said if he's not in the gang, he doesn't need to worry about retaliation. Yeah, so many of you are making that point. That's a very good point. I should have thought of that one myself. Nanette said the UK became a dictatorship. Sucks for y'all. I'd rather live here in the United States under the Trump dictatorship, quote unquote dictatorship. I'm joking. Let's see. All right, so a bunch of you keep saying the same things. Y'all are spamming my comments. All right, if you're going to keep commenting, at least say something different. Nanette said his own lawyer said he's MS-13. Okay, enter that into the record. John said if Donald threatens to stop paying, he would definitely let him out. I agree. Yes, if Trump wanted him to come back, then he could get him out. But I don't think Trump wants him to come back, so he's just letting the president have his way and say, no, we're not letting him out. That's good enough. Allegria says, seriously, we're in a privileged country. My dad used to cringe whenever people talk bad of president. Yes. None of us should talk bad about the president because not even talk bad about him, but want the president to do bad or fail. Maybe you disagree with the president, so you can talk bad about him. You can disagree with him, but nobody should want the president to fail because we all live here, whether you like him or not. We all got to live here. So even if you didn't vote for Biden, you shouldn't want him to fail. And if you didn't vote for Trump, you shouldn't want him to fail. Bede said, you are ignoring facts. Well, technically, you're correct. I can't bring up every single fact because there are too many of them. This live would be it'd be like Cory Booker's speech if I was to bring up every single fact and address every single one of them. You can't address every single fact. It's impossible. You got to pick and choose the facts based on what kind of conversation you want to have. Nina Horn said there was a guy who was a student with visa legally and deported. Well, it depends on the rest of the story, Nina Horn. That's not the topic here today. I'm not questioning whether you're telling the truth or not, but it depends on the rest of the story. Well, actually, you're not telling the truth. You're telling what you are posing as a fact. Let's assume that it is a fact, Nina. We need to know the rest of the facts, which you don't have enough space to tell us all the facts. That's the issue. Amber said, would you please describe an alien versus illegal? No, I will not. That's not the topic here today. Reciprocal Terror said, we are in an information war. We can't agree on facts. Yes, Democrats had their own facts. Yes, Democrats do have their own facts. Republicans got their own facts, too, on certain subjects. So let's be clear. Let's be fair. But we are in an information war because people throw out certain facts and then they leave out other facts, depending on what angle they're trying to take. My dad said in other countries, it's a crime to talk smack about the president. Well, it depends on which country. And yeah, certain countries, you better be careful what you say about the people in charge, especially if you say it publicly, because they will come get you. Julian shared the live. Thank you. Mike said, why was he brought into immigration court? Is that a rhetorical question or are you actually asking? He was brought in because he was suspected of being a member of a gang. Then when they took him to court, they realized he was illegal and they said, we're going to deport you, whether they found him to be in a gang or not. Tara said, the left gets people running on emotions. Yes, they do. They're very good at it, as a matter of fact. And that works. Let's be clear. So let's not even say that as if it's a bash of them. That actually works. Getting people engaged emotionally works. It doesn't always work, but it does work. Remember when Kamala first took over the Democratic nomination and she had all the quote unquote vibes and everybody was all excited? Oh my God, nobody's ever seen crowds like this. There's a movement. There's something happening. Well, we know how that turned out. So just because people are emotional does not mean it's going to work. But getting people emotional is a good way to get people engaged. That is a fact of human nature. So, sometimes people say this thing like, you want to die on this hill. You want to die on that hill. That's a strange hill to die on. You know how people say that? Big Sam 5, you're trying to die on this hill of saying that this guy wasn't in a gang. I mean, I don't know how many times you're going to keep leaving the same comment, but okay, let's just say that you believe, Big Sam, it's obvious you believe that he was never found to be in a gang. Okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? You want me to try to convince you? Do you think you're going to convince me? Neither one is going to happen. So I suggest you move on or forever hold your peace. Let's see. Slick said, who cares? They impeached Clinton because he lied. Trump lies every breath. Well, people have been saying that for 10 years. And let's look at the outcomes of what happened with Donald Trump. Let's look at the results. Not what people say, but the results. Misty Blue, thank you for the follow and for the share. Glow said, the famous blue dress of Monica Lewinsky. Yes, was it a blue dress? I didn't know what color it was. James Collins, what's going on? Good morning. Big Sam said he should be impeached. Oh, just wait. Wait till 2026. He'll get impeached if the Democrats win. Fire Crotch, thanks for the follow. Julian, thank you for the share. Ricky, thanks for the follow. Diva No Drama said, government that respect and knowledge God is a winner. Okay, great. Joe Baggs, thank you. Said, you the man. Big Sam said, you are not stating facts. Well, I am stating some facts. I'm not stating every fact because there's a lot of facts that I don't have the time or the space to state. Can't state every fact. We run out of time if we stated every fact. And people are not entertained by facts, by the way. If any of you has done any public speaking or presenting, you can't just give people facts and give a good presentation. See, when I go give a keynote speech, I don't just get a slide. I don't just get a bunch of slides with all facts on them because you'd be bored. You fall asleep. I will fall asleep giving that speech. What gets people engaged is when you add context around facts and stories around facts and your own interpretations around the facts. So just saying that someone is not stating facts is not a way of discrediting their position. Because none of you would still be listening to me if I was just stating facts. Jay Howe said, Republicans don't defend the Republic. I don't know what that means. Slick said, Biden deported more illegals than Trump. Obama deported more than both of them. Mike Mel said, the court direct his return to any country but El Salvador because he said he was in fear of gang relations. Yes, that happened, Mike. So again, if you're worried about gang retaliation, then how are you not in a gang? Someone who's not in a gang is not worried about a gang. So K Solo says she went everywhere but El Paso, Texas took her over 12 months. Yeah, I remember that. We've been to the border. And then the guy was asking her, have you been to the border? And she said, what'd she say? I've never been to Europe. What was it? Is that what she said? Remember that Kamala interview where he said, have you been to the border? And she said, I've never been to Europe either. And then she laughed, that laugh that she always does. She sounded really silly when she did that. AU Hunter said, too many people don't understand that all countries have immigration policies, and they're much stricter than ours. The United States has the most porous immigration policy in the world. We just let people come in. Other countries, you can't just go in and not become a citizen, let's say. You can visit, but you can't stay. King Ma said, they never say anything good about Trump. Well, that's the business. The business is to make him look bad. Nina said, I liked Obama as president, helped many with the Affordable Care Act. All right, fair enough. A lot of people liked Obama. A lot of people didn't, but that's how it is. He said the man knew what group he was representing. Yes, I think he did. All right, a couple more minutes, folks, then we got to wrap this one up. I got a call coming up this morning. Erica said he was supposed to be deported to Guatemala. That was a mistake. Yes. If you want to point out Trump made any mistake, is that they weren't supposed to send him to El Salvador, but now that he's there, the president of El Salvador said he's staying. So that's the deal. Big Sam said, just answer this. Why does Chat GPT disagree with what you're saying? I'm going to fuck about what Chat GPT agrees with. That's your answer. All right. So I answered it now, Big Sam. I don't need to convince Chat GPT of anything, and Chat GPT is not going to convince me. But I like Chat GPT. Shout out to Chat GPT, but I don't care if they disagree with me. What does that mean? Mark said, if Trump could walk across water like Christ, Democrats will say he can't swim. That's a very good point. I agree with that. Dally MAK, thanks you for the share of the live. There we go. Cynthia, y'all can hear me now. So any of you who is arguing quote unquote facts online, you're never going to win that argument because anyone else can present alternative facts to your facts, and then you can present other facts, they can present other facts. The fact of the matter is, here's a fact for you, is that new information is being created faster than any of us is capable of consuming. Therefore, we are never going to, if we don't want to, we are never going to agree on an acceptable set of facts. This is the reason why fact checking is a completely irrelevant idea these days, because we don't have to agree on facts if we don't want to. You can present 10 facts on a situation. I can give you 20 facts on the other side of that exact same situation. We both have facts and they are all true facts, but I don't have to agree with yours and you don't have to agree with mine, nor do we have to have the same stance. That's why we're in an information war, because there is no way to win the war. You can't win. All right. It's not really an information war, because if it was an information war, then that means somebody can win. Wars end. This war is never going to end because now we have AI, and the things that AI can do. Those of you who are not using AI yet, here's some business info. Here's some evergreen material for you people asking me why I'm talking about Trump. Please learn how AI works. Get engaged. Start using it, because there's so many things AI can do business-wise that many people are not taking advantage of yet. That number one is going to replace a lot of jobs, and number two is going to enhance a lot of jobs. That all depends on what you do with it. I'm saying that to say this: AI can create information faster than you can read it and talk about it. And the time that it took me to do this live, AI created 3,000 hours of information that you don't have time to read, and you don't have time to parse and understand, and you don't know which is true and which is not true. And by the way, how do you know if something is true or not? How do you decide if something's true or not? Who's the ultimate arbiter of truth? Answer is nobody. All right. Not CNN, not Fox, not the left, not the right. Who's the arbiter of truth? Who can tell you if something you heard is true or not true? Answer is nobody. And that's the reason why we're in an information war, because we have to look at every piece of information we receive and we have to decide, do I want to accept this as true or do I want to reject this as not true? That's why it's a war. So the winners moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, Scott Adams wrote a book about this. Scott Adams, good guy. I've been on his live stream before. Y'all heard of Scott Adams. He used to write this comic strip called Dilbert. And he came out and he was one of the first people to say Trump's going to win back in 2015. And he talks about Trump stuff all the time. Some people call him a Trump apologist because he would explain things that Trump was doing. I didn't see him apologizing, but most people are more emotional. He wrote a book called Win Bigly. And the book came out right after Trump won. It's called Win Bigly. I would suggest all of you read this book. And the book uses Trump as a frame, but the book is not about Trump. What the book is about is how facts no longer matter nearly as much as they used to. And if you want to get people to understand you and get on your side these days, what you need to get good at is persuasion, not information. Everybody hear that? If you want to get people on your side these days, what you need to get good at is not having the information or having the quote unquote facts or fucking Chat GPT. And again, I use Chat GPT, but Chat GPT is not the key to moving forward these days. The key is you have to be able to persuade and influence people, which is about how you present what you know and how you get people to see what you see, which means you have to understand what they see and how they're looking at things, because you can't just walk into a room of people who all think this way and then you want to get them your information that goes this way and think you're going to convince them just because you have quote unquote facts or because Chat GPT helped you write a speech. All right, that's completely useless. So many of you need to update your operating systems for the world that we're actually in, where facts are not the key anymore. They used to be, but they're not anymore. And me as a very logical and objective person, who, as you can see behind me, I write a lot of books. I like information. I like having facts. I like to be able to objectively state this is true, this is not true. The fact of the matter is that shit doesn't matter anymore the way that it used to. It does not matter anymore. You must be able to persuade and influence. If you want to see an example of someone persuading and influencing and using it to their advantage, look at the president. All right, many people think he's not that smart. Many people think he's a bad guy. Many people think, well, he's only talking to a certain audience of people. Well, look at the results. Half the country supported that. So whether you like it or not, it's the reality of the situation. So you must learn how to influence and persuade, ladies and gentlemen. And just having information alone is useless. For another reason that is useless is because Chat GPT can produce information faster than you can. So if all you have is information, we don't need you. We need Bill Gates to get rid of you and reduce the population of the planet like he's talking about doing, because all you bring to the table is information. Okay, I got Chat GPT. So why are you taking up air? Why are you eating food? Why are you driving on the road? Why are you breathing oxygen? All we got to do is replace you with Chat GPT because you have quote unquote facts. All right. Chat GPT got more facts than you've ever had in your entire life in 10 seconds. Okay. So please get out of this whole quote unquote facts bullshit. Facts do not matter, ladies and gentlemen. Newsflash for any of you who didn't know. And again, this is coming from a person who likes having facts. I like being objective. I like being logical. It doesn't matter anymore. That's the reality of the situation. Everybody hear that? Okay. So that's the world that we're in case any of you didn't know. Now you know. If you like this live stream, come back tomorrow. I will be here at 8 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Eastern. And what we're going to talk about tomorrow, maybe we'll talk about RFK. I got to do a little digging and find out what's going on with him. And I got to listen to the entirety of his speech, not just the clips off social media. Maybe we'll get into RFK. Maybe we'll talk about misinformation. We might talk about misinformation. I got something on that's coming. And if all else fails and I don't know what to talk about, guess what I'm going to talk about? Donald Trump. Why? Because Trump draws attention. All right. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at you because y'all are the reason that Trump draws attention. All right. If Trump didn't draw attention, I wouldn't talk about it. I talk about Trump because when I talk about Trump, people pay attention. All right. Don't be mad at me. I didn't make it that way. That's just what it is. All right. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at yourself because you're the one who made Trump relevant. And if y'all didn't pay attention to Trump, I wouldn't be talking about that motherfucker. So that's what it is. All right. Did everybody hear that? That's the world that we're in. That's what it is. I did not make it this way. All I'm doing is responding to the marketplace. And rule number, I'll show you right here. I got a book called, let me show you this book before I go. The 12 Work on Your Game Commandments. My company is called Work on Your Game. And it's commandment number 7 is marketplace results. Let me show you right here. Marketplace results. Number 7, marketplace results. And all I'm doing is responding to the market. So if I want to talk to a niche audience, then I will pick a niche topic. If I want to talk to a wide audience, then I pick a wide topic. Donald Trump is a very wide topic that everybody responds to. And again, if I was wrong, you wouldn't be listening to me right now. All right, the fact that you're listening is proof that I'm right. And that's what it is. Everybody, workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can learn more about working with me and my professional work, which is not talking about Donald Trump. But I don't know. Somebody will hire me to talk about Donald Trump. You think I should take the job? That's the last question I'll ask everybody. Yes or no? Somebody called me and said, Dre, we'll pay you to talk about Donald Trump 7 days a week. And the money is right. Should I take the job? Yes or no? Or should I just stick to talking about evergreen topics that most of you would not care about? All right. Which one should I do? Yes or no? Should I take the job? If they said, Dre, we'll pay you to just talk about Donald Trump every day and be a Donald Trump apologist. All right. We'll pay you to be a Donald Trump apologist. Whatever he does, try to make it sound good. I guess I might take that job. So somebody wants to hire me to just talk about Donald Trump all day, every day. Y'all got to bring the right check. Oh, it's under the couch?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, I'll help you. You want me to help you?
No, thanks.
No? Okay. Oh, what are you telling me about it?
Mommy, Daddy, we need this.
Okay. You want to take that back?
No, yes.
So you gave me a gift and now you're taking it back. Okay. All right, let me wrap this up, folks. Y'all have a great Thursday. I will see you all, folks. Yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern topic. We don't know yet, but it might be Donald Trump, so y'all better pay attention. Work on your game. We out of here.